everyone, James Williams again. Great to see you still with us. And for the next piece in the payments jigsaw, we have a look at the wonderful world of payments in Africa. I'd like to welcome Anzelle Robertson. Anzelle, hi.
Hi, James. Good afternoon.
Great that you could be with us for your Sam Media sponsored session, and thank you for being one of the sponsors of the event, which makes it possible for everyone around the world to join us for free. So great on that score. Thank you so much. You're the business development manager for Africa for Sam Media, and therefore it makes great sense that you moderate your panel discussion. But it's not just you today with Sam Media. We've got Alexis Bartels later on one of my panels looking at Payment Security 360 as well. So all that remains for me to say is enjoy your session and take it away, Anzelle. All the best. Bye.
Thank you very much, James, for the kind introduction. Firstly, allow me to say we're very humbled to be able to host this session on the topic of mobile payments in Africa today. I think it was perfect timing that yesterday was International Africa Day, or Africa Day. Yesterday in 1963, the African Union was established, and it led me to a quote that I also posted on my LinkedIn to celebrate Africa Day. It's an African proverb. I'm South African myself, and it says, "If you want to go fast, you need to go alone. But if you want to go far, you need to go together." And I think that also sets the tone, and it sets a theme for some of what we'll be discussing today in the world of payments. And that having been said, I would like to introduce some of the other experts in the field of payments on the African continent who we're delighted to have join us on this session today. I want to also mention that I'm extremely proud that we have 3 ladies on this session. Topic close to my heart, representation and female empowerment in the industry. So no offense to our male speaker, but let me start with the ladies. Teni Stuffman joins us from Nigeria. She's the CEO of Vastinets. Teni, if you would please do us a favor of taking a moment, introducing yourself, introducing Vastinets to the viewers who don't know what you do, and just say a few words about yourself.
Thank you, Anzelle, and I will say happy International African Women's Day. Thank you very much. I guess I'm Teni, and I work with Vastinets Technologies. Vastinets is a payment solution service provider, and what we do is to aggregate payments, so whether direct carrier billing, mobile wallets, and even the PSMS as well. So that's what we've been doing. We've been, over the years, it's been 15 years. We are very regular in West African region, but spreading our tentacles across as well.
Thank you, Teni. So as you heard, Teni active in the West African region. Sub-Saharan Africa as a whole is very well represented here today. So that ties nicely into introducing Jacqui Jones, who is the CEO of WorldPlay, and Jacqui joins us from Johannesburg. Jacqui, if you please will take a moment to introduce yourself to the viewers who don't know you. Tell us a bit about what you do.
Sure. Thanks, Anzelle, and nice to meet you, Teni. So I am the CEO of a South African company called WorldPlay. We specialize in direct carrier billing within South Africa across all bearers. We were established in 2002 and still going strong. So it's been a long road and in an ever-evolving market, or industry, should I say. And yeah, grateful to be here. And excited to hear what everyone has to say and be part of the all-female team. Awesome.
Well, all-female, let me stop you there because we've got Alex Bram, who is joining us, CEO, co-founder of Hubtel, based in Ghana. Alex, good morning to you, and thank you very much for joining. If you'd please take a moment to tell us a bit about, tell the viewers a bit about Hubtel, tell us a bit about yourself, and then we can kick off our discussion.
Good morning, Anzelle and everyone. My name is Alex Bram, CEO of Hubtel. So Hubtel is the very first mobile messaging and carrier billing company in Ghana, and probably one of the very first companies to do that in West and East Africa. We started off as a bulk messaging company, and we were among the very first to get telcos to explore mobile billing, airtime billing in Ghana, and also amongst the first to get telcos to look at mobile money for VAS services differently. So that's what we do. We've been in business since 2005. We have other service lines other than carrier airtime billing. We do payment processing for both micro and macro payments for businesses. That's what we have.
Thank you, Alex. So something that I can't help but notice as each of you have done the introduction, and I'll do a short introduction of some media shortly. But we've all mentioned being around and being in the industry and being active for 10 plus years, all of us. And I think that highlights a key theme is having spent time on the show and having listened to the wealth of expertise and industry knowledge over the course of the past 1.5 days of MEF Connects. I think there's a stigma of Africa playing catch up or Africa playing leapfrogging when we talk about mobile payments and when we talk about direct carrier billing and whatever. But yet we're sitting here surrounded by colleagues from the industry who've all been around since the dawn of like Alex said, bulk SMS, and I think that ties nicely into a short introduction to some media. We've been around since the dawn of things like polyphonic, or even before, whatever it was called before it was polyphonic, ringtones and wallpapers, and we've long since evolved with the market and with the industry, and as Teni, Alex, and Jacqui will know, have also long spent a lot of time investing and growing our footprint in the African market, mostly also by focusing on delivering localized content, which is something that's very important in the market and which we'll touch on more shortly. But I guess I can imagine from a viewer's perspective, there might be people thinking, well, what's a content provider doing on a webinar about payments, other than the fact that I'm surrounded by payments experts on this call. I think an important thing to note there is payments as a branch or as a genre or as a topic within the digital space would not exist or would not be as highlighted if consumers had nothing they wanted to pay for. David Lofty-Abibina mentioned earlier that people necessarily don't like to pay. I might want to add that that's maybe a little bit of a first world problem, because I know that in developing markets, the ability to be able to pay, the ability to be able to consume and to be able to transact, and the financial inclusion that implies, people are actually happy to, and people want to, and people want to partake in the digital economy, and people want to partake in digital e-commerce. And that's what we hope to highlight here today. So as a short introduction for any viewers who may not know the African, specifically payment ecosystem very well, I thought we could sum it up in 3 easy points. So we're not boring our viewers with slides or whatever today, so try and follow me here. Firstly, of course, we've got mobile wallets, bearing in mind that a mobile wallet is typically connected to your bank card or your debit card. So that would be something like your Apple Pay, your Google Pay, WeChat. Then, of course, what's the absolute highlight in Africa is a telco-led mobile money wallet. And this is where the actual MSICN, or the actual SIM card backed by the telco, is used as a wallet with which to transact. And this is dependent almost entirely on the presence of agents. So physical agents based throughout the market that are able to facilitate those transactions by accepting cash and by cashing out mobile wallet transactions as the need arises. And then lastly, Africa also very well known to the arena of direct carrier billing. So this being this we can break into 2 parts. We've got direct carrier billing proper, as our colleagues from the European and American markets would know it, or silent billing. And then we've got premium SMS, which remains a very popular billing method across the continent. And it's something I want to challenge our guests on today. One of the questions I wanted to ask is there a future for premium SMS as a billing mechanism, specifically for monetizing digital content on the African market? So I think as an introductory statement, not looking at mobile wallets in the Google Pay, Apple Pay sense, but looking at mobile money wallets, I've read extensively, and I think it's not new to anybody that whilst many people associate Kenya with being the epicenter and the start, and that's Safaricom's M-Pesa service of mobile money wallets, I believe MTN's mobile money or MoMo service has actually by far overtaken M-Pesa in terms of active users. And more specifically, I think the growth in Ghana has been exponential. Alex, maybe you would like to tell us more, tell us more about what you've seen in the Ghanaian market and what you've seen in terms of the uptake of mobile money accounts there.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you're very right. There's been this, Africa seemed to be a bit forgotten when we're telling the story of mobile adoption around the world. In Ghana, for example, we were the first to have a mobile network in all of Africa. I think the first telco here launched in 1992, I believe. And, that exposed the market here to a whole lot of innovation and different thinking. We have been at the forefront of several little innovations here. Maybe not one that blew up as big as M-Pesa did, but the history of mobile here has been one of, strong growth, strong adoption. It fits well into our culture. So when you have, our infrastructure that is not as developed as you'd have in some of the advanced markets, you tend to have people adopt mobile and use it for all sorts of things. That is what actually led to the idea of payments. So here in Ghana, we started in 2005 with SMS. I remember the time SMS was launched in 2003. I was in university then. My class had just 3 people that had mobile phones. And by the time we were graduating, just 2 years after, in 2005, it was rare to find someone in the class without a mobile phone. And SMS helped drive that adoption because students found it a very easy and cheap way of communicating. And so that also got some of us to have light bulbs to start looking at SMS as a compelling method of communication for businesses. And so there have been a lot of innovation around SMS, from using it for one-time password security, using it to communicate fast transactional alert, using it for insurance alert. We've launched different services that many of them, if it were in an advanced world, it will be classified as being very innovative. All the way to what's going on now with mobile money. I think Africa is still amongst some of the fastest growing markets for mobile money. It's evidence of a long history of transacting with SMS and transacting with USSD. That is also sparing some of these new technology. But yes, you're right in your introduction that SMS has been the foundation of mobile transactions. But where is the future heading? And I think some of the countries and economies in Africa are showing the future of premium billing, premium SMS. That it is not going to go away. The structure might change. The billing structure might change, but it is still a very relevant way of accepting payment. And that's exactly what we see in Ghana, we see in Kenya, we see it in many of the growing economies and on the continent. Here in Ghana specifically, the reason we're seeing an explosion in mobile money is because, or partly it's due to MTN's great work here. I think they've done some fantastic work with the other telcos in pushing mobile money. This is one thing that you can say it was. The push, over 80% of the effort was private sector led. Government obviously opened up with some regulation here and there to allow the telcos to be able to do what they have done. But now, in fact, just 5 years ago, it was quite rare to find someone who actively lived on mobile money and used it for their day-to-day transaction. Now in Ghana, it is quite the opposite. I don't think you can survive decently here in Ghana without without having a mobile money wallet for certain transactions, because everybody accepts it. Everybody accepts it
Exactly.
for services.
I think you bring me to it ties on to exactly a point I wanted to make. You say you use the example of in your university or in your class. You had back in the day only a few people had a mobile phone, and within 2 years everyone had one. We're using SMS either to communicate and eventually to transact or to consume in the form of premium rated SMS. And like you say. Currently now in Ghana, it's hard to imagine anybody not using a mobile phone, and this brings me to South Africa because, using a mobile wallet account. It brings me to South Africa because, as many people may know, the uptake of telco-led mobile wallets has never really caught on in South Africa, while it remains a very strong market for direct carrier billing. And I think the times are changing here because just 7 days ago, it was announced that MTN have secured something to the extent of $2.5 million in funding from the IMF to start recruiting and training 10,000 agents. Now, Teni and Alex may be able to tell us more or will be more informed about how exactly that network works and how important that network is to actually have these agents on the ground. And the investments are being made. So I, for one, am optimistic, and I, for one, hope that this means that it'll also catch on in South Africa. On the one end, because of the fact that such a large proportion of the country remains unbanked and has no access to any sort of digital e-commerce platform or means of transacting, and I hope that will change. And secondly, also, so that content providers like ourselves can continue to bring the services and the products and the entertainment and the exciting stuff that we all offer to more and more people, because the need to consume it is definitely there. And speaking about what you see on the ground, that's exactly it. I mean, I had friends, I went out for dinner with friends in Johannesburg, and one of them was like, can you send it to my mobile wallet? And it was that first instance where I had like this eureka moment, of going, it's changing on the ground, and that's where you need to see it. But Teni, Nigeria is no stranger to mobile wallets. I believe Momo in Nigeria has been around for some time as well. Now, an interesting thing is, if we look at direct carrier billing in the European context and in the developed context, the question was always, why can it only be used for digital goods? And there used to be gripes from content providers and payment aggregators about, well, why can't we use it for physical goods? Okay, now we're starting to look at using it for things like ticketing and whatever in the European markets. And I really think with mobile wallets, it's the other way around, isn't it? Because it's used, correct me if I'm wrong, almost predominantly for the large part, also for physical goods. And what we really want to do, and what we're really seeing now, is the drive towards the use of mobile wallet as a payment method, so Momo, M-Pesa, whatever, for digital goods. In Kenya, the Google App Store, via Docomo's good work, integrated M-Pesa as a payment method within the App Store, so that was already a big sign, and now more and more merchants are turning towards that as a payment method. Is this also what you see in the Nigerian market, Teni, or can you tell us a bit more about your finger on the pulse of mobile wallet payments in Nigeria?
Yes, Anzelle, you're quite spot on that, and I think Alex was also, described the as it is here in our region. I will use the word interoperability because what we've seen is the fact that mobile wallets can now work seamlessly with our own kind of direct carrier billing, where you can either have, whether you want to pay for digital services via DCB or mobile wallet. Now it's becoming a hybrid kind of solution And I mean, thanks to the networks, because these are solutions that are being gingered by the networks themselves. In Nigeria, for instance, wallet creation was activated mostly from the banking sector. So it's not unlike Ghana, where the networks were the major drivers. Here, the banks were majorly the drivers. But nevertheless, the networks also key into it by getting, licensing and all of that. But you can, we have some form of regulation here. I would rather use the word over-regulation in some instances, which allows the banks to have an upper hand when it comes to mobile wallets. But the objective is very clear. The objective is to enhance the financial inclusion within the country, because at the moment we still have a lot of people that have access to feature phones, have access to Android-based phones, but do not have access to accounts. So the essence of ensuring that everybody is financially included, I guess that's what drove the bank immensely into that mobile wallet access. But we are now beginning to see the entrance of mobile wallets also play in digital payment within the network sectors, where you have, we may not have it yet on the Apple Store or the Android Store and all of that, but right now you can also leverage on using your USSD or your SMS to integrate via your wallet to do transactions, buying content, not just physical goods at the moment. So that's the development that we are beginning to see.
Great, and I think you also touched on something important there. Is the content also needs to be there to be consumed, and the content needs to be there to be tapped into by consumers across the continent. And I think Jacqui and us go some time back, and Jacqui, I think maybe you can speak a bit about, do you think if there's reason to believe that mobile wallets are going to start picking up in South Africa, do you think this is something that payment aggregators in the market there would sit up and take notice of? Or do you think in South Africa, and I think many of our viewers that are active within the DCB space will know this, I think South Africa is so married to DCB as a payment method. Do you think that will change alongside the uptake of mobile wallets?
So definitely, and it's already something we sort of are looking into and paying attention to, and already are in discussions with the mobile networks. So, I think that if you are an aggregator specializing in a payment facility, I think that it is almost not optional whether you choose to, it basically needs to be part of your strategy to offer MoMo or whatever it is, mobile payments to mobile wallets to your offerings to your clients. So I think that it's not something that is going to happen in the future. It is something that is already happening. It's here. We're already in discussions. We're already looking at models, etc., etc. So if you look, you spoke about MoMo earlier. The networks themselves are now pushing the product in South Africa. Beforehand, MoMo was adopted in the rest of Africa, very successful, but in South Africa, they have had to relaunch it in Feb, and that relaunch has been successful. You also now have Vodacom looking, they've partnered with Alipay and are doing a very similar thing. So that will fall under the VodaPay product. And that is apparently already been adopted by merchants such as Game, Massmart, etc., etc. So it really is going that way. I think the question is, why was it adopted in the rest of Africa and more successful in the rest of Africa sooner than it was in South Africa? And I think maybe it's just we was a little bit more spoiled for choice. We've got the banks that are also offering sort of e-wallet solutions. And the investment in the infrastructure on the ground with regards to having agents, etc., on these products was lacking. And now that there is this mass investment behind it, I do believe that we're going to have more and more mobile subscribers, opening themselves up to the wallet or mobile wallet payments. In South Africa, I think we've got, what is it, 58 million people, and we've got double the amount of subscribers or mobile network users. So it's insane. So
exactly, and
it's not going to happen. I believe it's already here. It's just a slow process. We're already seeing it. We're already seeing interest from some of our international clients with regards to these options, with regards to payments, and we are in discussions with the networks already, who are also, it's also on their roadmap. So it is happening.
Well, exactly, and you saying that you're also already seeing interest from, you know, from international clients and from merchants and whatever. And speaking as a content provider, speaking as a merchant, okay, with a payment background, but speaking as a merchant, this is the important part. So I think if there are other content providers and other merchants using DCB or premium SMS as a billing mechanism on the African continent, then they'll surely agree with me that when we start talking about things like billing success rates, and we start talking about things like ARPUs, that you know, in the previous session prior to ours, there was for Tubo, and the session prior to that, it was about trust in payments. And one of the speakers had actually mentioned, you know, that you need to give variety. You need to offer a variety of payment mechanisms or methods to consumers. And in the same breath, Peter Garside of EE had said, you know, it's carrier billing is expensive. Or James had asked him, you know, isn't it expensive for merchants? There's licensing fees. You have to regulator memberships, this type of stuff. It is expensive as a merchant to invest anywhere, specifically in Africa. And what makes me so excited about this is if we can offer multiple payment methods to our consumers, to our end users. So instead of coming to a landing page and you know, seeing that, as is the case in some African markets, let's talk about direct carrier billing now for a second. If you're on carrier X, you are going to pay, you know, 10 Ghanaian cedis for the service, but if you're on carrier Y, you're going to pay 5 because the one carrier doesn't offer the same price as the other. Or in South Africa, for example, if you're on MTN, you know, you need to complete an acquisition flow or a payment flow that looks like this with a PIN and that and the other. But if you're on Vodacom, you just click here and you know, off you go. There's this like non-uniformity and being able to give consumers this choice to go. Do you want to pay using your mobile wallet? Do you want to pay using a direct carrier billing? Do you want to pay using credit card or whatever the case may be? To merchants, that's very attractive because that allows us to save on marketing costs in that I don't have to go targeting when I'm doing my Google advertising, when I'm doing my media buying. I don't have to go targeting a Vodacom user that's on net or an MTN Ghana user that's on Wi-Fi and has a mobile wallet account or whatever. We can throw the nets wide open and we can say to everyone who's looking for VR streaming stuff or educational content or to the latest sports or Nigerian Football League updates or prediction games, we can say, come on over and you choose how you want to pay. So there's a few questions that have come in. Let me just see. Oh, we're still good for time. There's a few questions that have come in on the topic of mobile wallets. So I'll go to those before we start talking about DCB and PSMS and then everyone's favorite topic, regulation, shortly. I think this one, Taha Jawahi, asked, how would you handle subscriptions on standard mobile money in Africa, since all mobile money payments have to be user-initiated at the moment? Okay, so in other words, if I'm understanding this correctly, if you want a user to complete a transaction via mobile wallet, it has to be user-initiated, and therefore you cannot bill that on a subscription basis because the user needs to initiate or confirm the payment every time. Alex, I'm going to let you correct me if I'm wrong on this, but my understanding is actually that is not entirely the case. And that I do believe it is possible if the same way, if I am Netflix and I'm having users sign up to my service and it's billed on a subscription basis, I do believe that that's possible for the mobile wallet, at least in Ghana as well.
Yes, absolutely. So we are getting that ready on some of the networks. So, you know, on a network like MTN, we're working that out on Vodafone. We'll soon launch it on Airtel Tigo. You can be able to bill on a subscription model to mobile wallets. So you subscribe once, the customer authorizes once, and anytime you want to serve content, you bill and then you serve the content directly to their mobile wallet. But I think it's a powerful point you made, Anzelle, about getting customers to be able to choose whether they get billed be on their mobile wallet or they get billed to their airtime. There's still a bit of work to be done on that, because everything is also new for some of the telcos. In fact, it took us literally 2 years to get telcos to open up a certain connection to allow us to do subscription billing on mobile money here in Ghana. And as you can tell, not all the telcos are even on board. It would take some smoothing out and some bit of work in between to get it to where we want it to. If you plot, motivation of customers, motivation of customers versus how easy or difficult it is to either accept it for airtime or accept it for mobile money, what you typically find is that for airtime billing, it is so easy for the customers. And you just send a message and you bill and you serve the content at the same time. For mobile money, not so. People are still, the mindset is still yet to change, that I could be charged 35 pesewa or 1 CD for a mobile subscription. So you find that motivation for mobile money is not so high for
that's a good point. That's a good point, Alex. And I think what you're tapping into here, and this is a theory I've sort of held for a while, is that when we're talking about the funds in a mobile wallet, I think it's important to understand that consumers spending these money or contemplating whether or not they're going to spend money in a mobile wallet, this is the same wallet, this is the same kitty, this is the same funds from which many consumers are paying their kids' school fees, from which they're buying groceries, from which they're paying their taxi or their bus ride to work. Whereas when I'm talking premium SMS or I'm talking direct carrier billing, it's slightly less tangible. It's like, oh, it's airtime. What is airtime?
Because you've made the expense already, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
you made the expense for the airtime already.
Exactly. So there is a difference here in terms of what you said. If you have to plot motivation, and of course, one will see that in conversion rates. But I think that's why it's also super important to make sure. And I think for us as an industry and for merchants and payment gateways and carriers to understand that the content that we need to be selling and the content that we need to be offering needs to be of such a standard and of such a quality and of such a niche and localized or interesting to the point that that motivation is there, regardless of whatever payment method it is.
Yeah, Anzelle, can I come in? Exactly, that's a powerful point, and I was just getting to that. That's a very powerful point. So what we are finding is that for mobile money, certain services work for mobile money. So we're finding that gaming works fine for mobile money. If someone is subscribed to a car in a game that they need to pay, say, 1 CD a day to keep the car or to keep racing with that car, people seem to be fine using their mobile money for that. But if you have to serve me, say, a religious content, or serve me a ringtone, or alert me about news, most people don't like you going to their mobile money account to bill them for sending them, say, a religious content or an SMS content or a tip. And that's where we need to study the market a little bit more, and then make the necessary adjustments that this works perfectly for PSMS and this works perfectly for mobile money.
Exactly. And again, that ties into the theme. If we want to go far, we need to go together and not go fast and alone. Jacqui, in terms of content, I mean, Alex was just saying that there's a need for clear differentiation between what type of content works for which payment method. Like you say, mobile wallet billing is coming to South Africa. It is growing, but at this point in time, I think much of what's being transacted digitally is still direct carrier billing. What are you seeing in terms of the DCB market? Jacqui, I know, is also involved, or I know, am I allowed to say? Jacqui also sits on the board of the Wireless Application Service Providers Association of South Africa, or WASPA for short, and it's effectively the self-regulatory body that governs value-added services and direct carrier billing in South Africa. I know there's some interesting stuff about to happen in the market in terms of regulation and in terms of content and in terms of carrier uniformity. Maybe you want to give us a quick 1 or 2 minute update on what's exciting in the South African market, if there are viewers that need a sort of 101 on what's about to go down.
Okay. Well, just last points on sort of the mobile wallet and what's happening is that specifically in South Africa, it's been used traditionally sort of for mobile transfers between customers from a network perspective, and now that is evolving obviously for payments, and the payments we're seeing from a mobile wallet perspective are things that customers in South Africa would ordinarily use cash for, be it buying airtime, paying for their electricity, paying for their DSTV, etc., etc. So that's sort of where it's at now. From a digital services perspective, that is now what we're going to be adopting, and that's part of the roadmap, where now we can also offer that as payment facility for digital services. But for now, it's it's products that ultimately were originally paid for by using cash, and now we've moved over to the digital wallet. So that's, to me, where I feel we are now, and we are currently evolving into sort of a super app space when it comes to the mobile wallet. And then with regards to direct carrier billing, a lot of people with mobile wallet coming in have said, is there still a market? Are you still relevant? Or is mobile wallets going to take over direct carrier billing? And yes and no, because I think they're going to coexist. There is still an ease of transaction with DCB that there isn't with mobile wallets. As far as information is concerned, the least amount of personal information is transferred through DCB. With regards to, and when you look at POP here in South Africa, and I think it's the GDPR in the UK or Europe, is that, when it comes to passing of personal information, there is so much red tape. And because with DCB, the only thing we have is the user's mobile number and no other identifier unless you request it as part of your service, it remains a very safe option as far as identity theft is concerned, because we actually don't have the information. So I do think there is still a place for it, and I do think that while mobile wallets is definitely becoming more popular in South Africa, it's going to take a long time for merchants to adopt it. It's all very well saying, it's here, it's big, it's growing, but it takes a long time for sort of in-store merchants to adopt another payment mechanism. And for those pay points to all have NFC, that's a long process. And so for now, I'm saying it's here, but I don't think, it's not an overnight sort of thing that's going to happen. I think it's a long process.
Yeah.
And then further on direct carrier billing, what we saw in South Africa is a huge shift in that ultimately it was a WASP model. So we call ourselves WASP, Wireless Application Service Provider, and the networks sort of outsourced that activity or sort of functionality to third parties. And what we've seen over the last couple of years is that they bring in that platform in-house. So a lot of the mobile network operators, within South Africa now have sort of internal billing systems, internal content platforms, etc. So it's from a control perspective. They also, that they want to have more control not only over the payments and the safety of their subscribers, but over the actual content that's been offered and making sure that there's actual value add. So I think gone are the days where you can offer products that really have little value and really the model sits in the subscription rather than the actual value of content. I'm seeing a big shift in the networks taking an interest in what is it exactly that you're offering, and is it a value add to our customers, because it's their customers. Ultimately, that's how they see it. It's their customers. So are you adding value to my customers? If not, we're really not interested in this product. And they're onboarding higher sort of in partners when it comes to their internal platforms, better products, and definitely there is a drive towards better value to the consumer when it comes to direct carrier billing. So I'm seeing a shift there. And with regards to the regulator, they are also now, the networks are leading on then to not only monitor and regulate sort of third-party platforms, but also their own platforms to assist with that. Monitoring the market, seeing what's out there, seeing that their content partners are providing a safe, honest service, etc. And there's definitely in South Africa, it's not going anywhere. It seems to be growing. So that's a good thing for us. It's growing.
That's what we'll take from this.
Yeah. It's weird. It's growing in opportunity and value, but sort of shrinking in people providing the service, like companies actually providing the service. So there's less of us, but more value.
Exactly. So less quantity, more quality, and I think that's certainly where we want to position ourselves. That's absolutely for sure. And I think you gave us a great summary of the South African market, both on the mobile wallet and the DCB side. I want to thank you very much for that. I think we've got something like 7 minutes or so left, and I would be remiss if I don't also ask Teni what you feel or what you see in your expertise in the sense of opportunity, in the sense of, should we be sitting up? Should we be taking notice? Should we be coming over? Should we be knocking on your door? How's Nigeria looking? What's on offer? And can you echo what we've heard Alex say about the markets that he's strong in, and Jacqui about the South African markets?
Certainly, Anzelle. What we're beginning to see now is a wide opportunity of innovation, product, and more subscriptions. I mean, from what Jacqui said earlier on, subscription services are becoming something that it has to do with quality, not just the generic one that you can easily find on if you browse or you go on Google, you can easily find them. So customers are beginning to ask for more. And the demand for more is allowing more innovation and more channel of payment opportunity. Another thing I want to add is the fact that the fact that customers can go online to subscribe using their card payment has also enlightened customers to use wallets. So if you go on Google Play Store or on your Apple Store, you can easily subscribe to a gaming solution or even an edutech service for your family, for your children, But right now, if you find that same offering coming on wallet, it's easy for customers to adapt to it, because in this instance, especially in Nigeria, where FX happen to be very high, it's becoming a realistic thing for people to relate more with their currency. So if I have a wallet and I know that it's in my local currency, I can easily understand how much I'm paying for what. Unlike if I'm going to a store where, unless there's some form of conversion there, but it's easier for me to say, that this is what my wallet is going to be paying. Except for, like I mentioned earlier on, regulation, there is still a lot of disruption going on. And I think with that in mind, it's like the sky is not even a limit.
I'd actually hope so. That's a very positive takeaway. And I'm afraid we won't have time for it, because I want to get to one of the audience questions before we wrap up. But on that point of regulation, I think we can have a whole session dedicated solely to regulation on the continent, and maybe it's worth looking into that, and not too far in the future. So watch the space. But I want to thank you all for joining. I want to have highlight a quick question. I think we've got 2 minutes for it. I think this is more for you, Alex. It's from Frederick, who is from the French cybersecurity provider Avina, if I'm not consuming, and if I'm not wrong. And he's saying consumer trust is paramount to foster the digital payment ecosystem. Looking at the mobile money developments in Africa and Ghana specifically, what are the key drivers for a frictionless customer experience? So trust is paramount. What are the key drivers to make the customer experience frictionless? I think that's talking about mobile money payments.
Yeah. I think for a lot of the mobile money platform, the experience is very simple. For authenticating a transaction, you get a bill prompt over USSD. So everyone on mobile money, if money needs to leave your wallet, a prompt is sent to your phone. You only put your PIN and you authorize it, and that's it. The transaction, you're debited, and then the vendor is credited. It's a very simple experience. We are yet to explore or see other methods of authentication like QR and co. I'm happy to say from next week, Hubtel will be launching a QR service, a P2P QR service on the national switch. So you start seeing a lot more mobile banks app be able to just scan a QR code,
cool.
touch, and make payments. Those innovations are coming up within the banking.
That's great to hear, and I think that's the beauty of USSD as well, is that of course it's not dependent on data, so it again makes it accessible for everyone to use, and it's such a tried and trusted bearer on the continent, you know. And then I would speak to friends in Amsterdam and go like, hey, this, and then what is this? What is a USSD string? But we're familiar with it. We know how to transact in it, and I think that's also why it works so well. Teni, did you have a last? Do you want to say something?
I was going to quickly chip in that another thing we're seeing, like Alex mentioned, is the QR code payment, which allows merchants to enjoy instant settlement. Now we have that in Nigeria, for instance. So it's another way to see the competition and the choice that the customer has to pay. So you can pay through your USSD, you can pay through your QR code, you can pay through your DCB, and it's becoming very wide. Like I said, innovation in Africa is very dynamic. You can't compare it with the Western world. We take innovation and adapt it to our culture here. So as it is, it's something that is very unique on its own.
Definitely, and I think that's the perfect tone and tune to wrap up on. I know it's an entire continent, so we can't call it a market, but it is unique on its own. It has its unique nuances, and I think the message is clear that there's a lot happening, there's a lot of buzz, there's a lot of opportunity, but it's paramount to be working with local partners, local expertise. As far as it goes for merchants, it's paramount to offer as many payment method options as possible. It's absolutely paramount to make sure you offer content that consumers on the market, within this market, can relate to, that they want to consume, and to echo something Alex mentioned, that they feel firstly motivated, and secondly safe and secure to be paying for in the first instance. So thank you guys for joining me. It's absolutely awesome to have the three of you. I couldn't be happier with our representation covering most of sub-Saharan Africa, and again, couldn't be happier with female representation. And thank you very much, guys. And let's see if we can arrange a chat about regulation sometime soon.
Thanks, Anzelle. Thanks, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.